Welcome, everybody. It's me back from the future, here to talk about Tesla stock specifically. We have the 1 week Tesla chart up here. We're going to go into the chart, but I wanted to kind of go into a couple of details. Obviously, this is a crypto channel, but I do state in my description that I'm stacking Tesla shares as well as crypto. Tesla is the stock, in my opinion. This company is unbelievable, right? The more you research about it, the more you go, oh my goodness, this company is amazing. It is the future, right? It's the corporation of the future, the manufacturing corporation of the future. So they've got like Giga Austin, these factories that they're building that would take 10 years normally, are taking like a year from ground to finish. Giga Austin, giant, unbelievable factory in Texas. Hopefully designing and building my Cybertruck that I pre-ordered when they first announced it. I'm a Tesla fan for sure. But yeah, so, Giga Austin, Giga Mexico coming up soon. Giga Berlin was a year ago, opened up a year ago today. Or this week, I should say. Today is March 28th. They're talking about 1 year ago, we delivered our first made in Germany vehicles, right? So 1 year ago. Some cool details about that. Some of the stats. This week, they hit 5,000 builds per week as an average. 5,000 cars are being manufactured there per week. That's amazing. And that's one of the smaller factories too, which is pretty funny. Giga Berlin. So 1 year after opening. And that's about 250,000 vehicles out of that single factory every year. That's a great average. Some interesting things happening in the stock world. Kathy Wood with ARK Invest, also somebody that I kind of look up to. She's a fellow contrarian like myself. And she often is buying when people are selling and selling when people are buying, because that's the way to do it, right? Or at least when the media is telling you to sell, she's out there buying. So in terms of Tesla stock, Kathy Wood, she sold $27 million worth of Tesla this past Thursday, just a few days ago. But she bought the dip on Coinbase and Block, which had some erroneous media attention. Well, Coinbase not so erroneous, but we'll go over that in a second. But point is with Kathy Wood here in ARK Invest, she unloaded a total of 139,642 Tesla shares. Boom. She's a huge Tesla bull. But when you're coming up to the end of a run, it's time to sell, right? If you're swing trading, and something like Tesla is similar to crypto, it's got wild swings and then wild crashes. So we're going to take a look at the charts here in a second to kind of shore up what she's talking about. But yeah, Thursday, according to a Thursday night investor update, it was worth about $26.8 million based on the closing price of $192, which actually Tesla's price is, it's lower. So Kathy Wood scored, right? She sold everything around 192. Now it's like 189 right now, or 188 today. And the price looks to be in a downward trend now that it's had a nice run since the start of the year. I think we're up like, 70+%. We'll measure it out. Just since the start of the year. Pretty crazy stuff. But again, buying the Coinbase dip was the reason why she sold all these. So she unloaded Tesla stock up at the top and bought Coinbase and Block as they were falling and reaching a low. Really, really smart move there. It's something that I'm also doing, right? So not that I'm smart. I just happen to be buying the same three stocks that are in this article, which is pretty cool. Let's look here again. So for Coinbase, but what was the reason why Coinbase did this crazy crash over the last 48 hours? Well, Coinbase disclosed that it had been served with a Wells notice by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. So that is the reason why Coinbase had this, I guess, about 10% of a drop. So pretty crazy stuff. So let's go back to the charts. Now that we kind of talked a little bit about the news, I'm more of a firm believer of the charts telling the story and letting you know before these news events happen. If you understand how to read a chart, even if it's a basic read like I do, I don't tout myself as a chartist. I just understand formations, rhythm, and I know a couple of really helpful tools when it comes to something like TradingView. So looking at the 1 week chart here for Tesla, we will turn on the Bollinger Bands first to kind of tell the story a little bit. So 1 week chart, let's take a look. Now, if you notice, the Bollinger Bands are a great source of understanding direction, okay? Because often, especially on the daily chart, we're looking at the weekly chart here, but you'll often notice that with the Bollinger Bands, the price tends to ping pong around within the Bollinger Bands, right? And it's really evident on this downward slope here. So since the start of the year of 2022, at this peak here, it was at the end of 2021, we've done a fair amount of zigzagging, all in a downward momentum. I've been watching this for a while. So let's zoom in on it. To make this clear, going up for an unbelievable run, we actually broke through the Bollinger Bands and then crashed through, found our way down to the mid support, but ultimately found support again at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, and then found our way going back up to the top and then back down. And you see the motion here, right? This is a great way to see where the momentum's taking us. Now, what does this tell me looking here at the Bollinger Bands? It tells me that we're at a midpoint and we do have some room to run up to about 228. So we're sitting at 189, and there's two things we could do. I mean, look what we did this last time, right? This last run, which was quite a few months ago. I feel that we're doing something similar to this, this fractal shape, and we'll be making that same fractal here, okay? And I'll kind of draw it out really quick, very quick. So we saw ourselves moving up. We didn't quite make it to the top of the Bollinger Band, but we did find support here on this midpoint. And we made kind of like an M shape and then found our way back down to the bottom, okay? And even more so, we slid all the way down the bottom of the Bollinger Band, but found support and bounced back up. Now we're making that same move. This little weird M shape is going to be mirrored right here, okay? So we'll likely do something like this, okay? Come down. Now that tells me that the low still is around that same low that we did back in January, start of the year, okay? We went and literally pierced right at $100. That is more like a floor for us. So if you notice, the 200 week is notorious for being a really great floor. And as you could see, we really pierced through that on that last crash down. So the 200 week is something that to stay above in a bear market is pretty good. A lot of our crypto names have been buried into that 200 week for quite some time and are just now breaking through. But that shows us also here that Tesla is riding that 200 week moving average, okay? As you can see, finding support. Looking at the 50 week, which is this purple moving average, it is coming down quick and really is kind of putting the pressure on the price. So if you could envision the 50 week continuing down in this kind of a motion, it's just going to be pushing the price along with it and possibly even forcing the price beyond the 200 week again. Now, if the price was to make an upward movement, it would try to touch that 50 week simple moving average, simply to find it, no pun intended, to find resistance and then crash down. Secondary, it could come through, pierce through, and hit the 100 week simple moving average, find resistance there, and crash down. Now, the stronger of these two, in my opinion, is the 50 week. It's really got a hold right now, a stranglehold on the price. So, and it's pinning it between the 200. So that could be pretty ugly as the 50 week moving averages comes to meet the 200. So with that said, in my opinion, we have a we have, there's a probability that we can make a movement up to in that range of the $220 possible. A little less possible is up to 250, but more likely to find ourselves moving down. So with that said, I'll turn these off. Apologies for the mess. I just wanted to make this quick. I drew out these trend lines ahead of time, more like a scaffolding of trend lines. Our lower red trend lines are the important piece here. And these are points where I believe the price can go, because I feel that these lower trend lines for crypto and something volatile like Tesla, this is like a magnet. The price launches off of those lower trend lines and it always finds its way back because it's more like a mean price. So I have these two different trend lines, both lower supports. One could find the price over the next month. This is my projection. We could find ourselves at around 115, 112, something like that. In secondary, we could find ourselves down in the sub 100 realm, like $92, $93. We could even wick down to my favorite number, $88. But to be safe, 115 to 96, I think, is a good zone, right? Where the price could find a path. And what would that look like? It could look like something like this, literally. Because we move quickly, right? We move quickly, okay? Again, we could find ourselves get support here at this first level or the second level, in my opinion. Why did I draw it this way? It's fractal patterns, right? What do you see here? That's the same move, right? Just in this area. You see this fractal piece right here. Same thing. Only to find the mean, right? Like we talked about, literally. But again, I feel like we have a little bit more to go, and we could hit that secondary trend line down there, that final floor. Now, there is another lower trend line that I did not draw here. It's around the $66 range. There's a probability, but I don't want to get into it now because it's a little too severe. This to me makes more sense looking at these fractal movements. We've got 1, 2, 3, and this would be 4 in that same series. We'll find ourselves working ourselves back through here and ping-ponging, something like that. And then finding our way out, okay? And that could be some of these other trend lines, right? But for now, we've got a long way to go to work ourselves out of this channel. I mean, this is a really severe channel, but this is what I see. So that is Tesla. Let's take a quick look at the other two stocks that were mentioned in the conversation. And we'll start with Square, okay? This is Jack Dorsey's Cash App, now known as Block. I still say Square because the ticker is SQ from used to be called Square. Now it's called Block. A really crypto-friendly company. The Cash App is a lot like PayPal, but way better. I actually use this every day. No, I'm not a spokesperson, but I did make a video on this recently because it has components that allow me to passively accumulate Bitcoin and actually earn free Bitcoin. You hear that phrase a lot, but this app actually really does that. Just passively. I buy things, I have free Bitcoin, and I have a little Bitcoin wallet. It's also got a Lightning aspect, so I could send Bitcoin to friends and family for basically free, if not free. The wallet's safe. Just it's a wonderful company. Another thing Block does, Jack Dorsey has this project, I think it's part of Block, where they have this giant mining rig out in the desert somewhere that runs off of solar. He teamed up with Tesla and Elon to set up a massive solar array that generates power and runs the Bitcoin mining rig. He's a huge Bitcoin proponent. So all these things make me love Block, but really just the idea of what the app does it really allows me to use that app and also the cash card. It allows me to do all these things, and I don't pay any money. All I do is get money back. So for somebody like me, I love that, right? So that's Block. That's why I'm a believer. It's one of my 3 stocks that I invest in, other than funds that I invest in, 401k, and of course, crypto. So to be one of my 3 stocks to look at, I think that's a pretty big deal. So here, looking at Block again, there was some bad news recently, something about almost like Twitter, where they had all these additional accounts. It's an erroneous article that literally just pushed the price down over the last 48 hours or so. So here we can see the result of that erroneous article that came out. So as you can see, a lot like crypto, a lot like a lot of the tech stocks out there, Block, I believe, is pretty much at the floor, right? There's really not much room for it to go. And if you look at the Bollinger Bands here, you'll see that it's pegged right down there. And you see why Kathy of ARK Invest, Kathy Wood, why she purchased down here, right? I actually bought a bunch down at the same area back in this area at the end of the year. This is really when I started buying Block, and then I rode it all the way up here, and I got rid of it somewhere in this vicinity. But I think it's time to pick it up again. We're at about $63, and let's zoom in on it really quick. And we're right there at the bottom of the Bollinger Band. We bounced off at 56. So really right on that, between 56 and 60 is a really sweet zone. I mean, I was hoping for a little bit lower, but that looks pretty telling right there. So with that said, let's see if we can get any information off of the moving averages. Let's take a look real quick here. Simple moving averages. So it looks like the 50-week is doing the same thing that it's doing for a lot of stocks right now. Really pushing that price down. So that tells me that there could be some more. This is really pushing hard. I mean, this could continue. This 50-week could continue down and just force the price down a little lower. Maybe another leg down, possibly. If the price has bottomed out, which is a high probability, the only way is up. And what's our targets? 129, 134. That's a really a short squeeze. Find itself all the way the heck up there, right? In a short period of time. I mean, look what we've done back here. We went from $83 to $150. So that's the same kind of move right here. So let's measure that out really quick. So from bottom to the top, what kind of motion or movement do we get there? About 81%. Nothing big, just 81%, over a few weeks. So that we're due for that same kind of movement if we're going up. But again, we could have another leg down and then we do the up. Let's measure what that would look like percentage-wise. Okay, I'm going to go up. All right. So up to the 200-week moving average, which is probably the most likely. That's about 132% if we make our way up there, which tells me it would probably be later. It would be more of a lagging move to get up there. We're not going to just go straight there. So this took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to get to the total peak. So a month and a half, right? So looking at where we're at right now, March 23rd. So that would be April 23rd and June 15th or something like that, right? June 12th. Something like this area, right? And by that time, this 100-week moving average would be all the way down here. It would already have crossed. And that could be a trigger to bring a price up. Whenever there's like a cross like that, the price could come up to meet it and then find resistance and come back down and do something just like this fractal. This is a perfect example. Anyways, I digress. That's a lot of detail there. Point is Block's a great investment. I think it's my top 3, right, for stock, individual stocks. Let's see, what else do we have? We'll turn these guys off. and then we will turn on the noise. Okay. I'm sparing you with the noise on this one. It's just lower trend lines. Okay, so yeah. So again, we had this, that 55 and up range between 55 and 65. Wonderful, wonderful buy-in. But there is that possibility. We've got this final floor lower trend line, which we could possibly hit. Now we had 1, 2, 3 touch points back in 2017, 2016. That's where those long-term trend lines are coming from. So this is a long-term support. And if there's some kind of black swan event, we could easily find ourselves down here at the $40 range. Okay. So it's really, if you think about it, the way stocks and crypto have been going, it's not that much of a dump from $55 to hit 40. So your risk level, to me, and this is not financial advice, but for me, buying in this area is worth the risk for me, because if we come down here, it's going to be short-lived. When you come down to these lowest of low trend lines, it's never for a long time. Look at what we did here, right? When was this? March 2020, of course. Just a slingshot down to this lower trend line and straight back up. And look what happened, right? So this is what I'm saying. This zone between 40 and 60, excuse me, the zone between 40 and 60 is pretty magical here. So, but that's block. Keep your eye on it, even if you're not interested in investing in it. It's nice to be getting into a stock that's down at the bottom, right? Just like Kathy Wood just did. Okay. And then what's next? We talked about Coinbase. Coinbase, not a lot of history on Coinbase at the moment. Actually, it looks like the Bitcoin chart on the logarithmic scale in reverse. But hey, they went public. It's a publicly traded company now as of April 2021. So it's really in its infancy stage. Most stocks looked like this when they first launched. They have a great week and then it's downhill from there. This is another one though, and I think Kathy's onto something. I think this one is basically at the bottom. But I will show you some details which are important and why I have not purchased yet. So looking at the Bollinger Bands, just as a nice indicator, on the weekly chart, of course, we do have room to go down. So right now we're at $63. We could find ourselves down here at 28, which tells me there's probably some ugly news to come for Coinbase. I do know that Coinbase is suing the SEC. I think it's the SEC because of this this letter that they received. Let's go back to it real quick. Whew, it's pretty bright. Yeah, so they got that Wells notice. The SEC is playing hardball, and I believe Tesla, or not Tesla, I believe Coinbase is coming back and playing hardball again with them. So we'll see what happens. Again, all those types of things could be something that drive the price down temporarily so that we hit that lower Bollinger Band. So again, lowest possible range for me, $29, $30, give or take. Again, this is where Kathy just bought. I would definitely be buying in this 40-ish range. If it dips into there, I'm gonna probably grab some. I'm a big believer in Coinbase. Let's put it that way. I believe Coinbase has been planning. They knew something like this was going to happen. And I think they're opening exchanges offshore now. The US is getting so strict that the All-American exchange is now looking to open things up. I think it's Brazil, and I think they've already launched their offerings out there. So those kinds of things, it's just like any big corporation, when they start opening business in other countries, it's only positive momentum, right? So, but looking at a company that started their offering way up at $428, and like crypto is down to $50, $60. this isn't something, this isn't a short-term play. This is something where I will be purchasing, throwing away the keys for a couple of years, you know? And that's just like crypto right now too. Crypto is not I mean, you can get some quick swing trades with crypto right now and with Tesla too. But the smartest thing to do is buy it and hold it until the top of the bull run. And that, in my opinion, is not until 2025, right? When we're looking at a 4-year cycle like crypto has, and Coinbase will be on that 4-year cycle as well because it represents crypto. 4 years from the last peak is 2025, the end of 2025, Q4. So that's what my plan is to hold Coinbase until that end of 2025. There may be some points in between where I do some swing trades. I'll often do that, but typically the swing trading I do is like 10% of my whole stack. So for example, if I have $100 or 100 shares of Coinbase, right, I will take 10% of that and swing trade with it on a regular basis. Let the other 90% just sit there because you know what? We're trading against algorithms and computers. So the probability of us winning all the time is not high. So we got to be smart, like these strategies that we're discussing. Okay. All right. So that's Coinbase. What else did we look at? Did we look at let's take off these Bollinger Bands. There's some simple moving averages here, but since the stock is so young, there's not much to look at, and they're all straight down anyways. That's the 100-week simple moving average, just straight down. And just like we talked about, just pushing the price down, not leaving much room. If there was some kind of blast up, we could hit up to a 150 on some kind of crazy move over a few weeks' time. If there was some kind of big short squeeze, here's an example of that back here. Here's another smaller example. Here's another medium-sized example. Here's another one. That's what this is. Okay. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. Just looking at the movement of this stock, you can expect something like that. But to me, the money is down here, $40-ish. So I've got a nice falling wedge that Coinbase found its way into. Really ugly, man. But what this always means to me, especially looking at crypto all these years, this just means we're in a triangle, a falling wedge. We're going to ping pong like you saw my drawing. We're going to ping pong in this until we can't ping pong anymore. And then guess what? We're going to be so low, 30-ish, $40-ish. I went a little too low there. But there's going to be only one way out, and that's up. Okay? Right? And that will likely be from this drawing that we just did. Where is that? October. So that's at the end of the year. We will make our way out of this. And that could be the start of the bull run, really. The end of this year, the beginning of next year. And when I say the start of a bull run, I mean a move up like this. Now, finding our way down from here is, to me, just not probable. I don't see it. I don't see the lines. I don't see the trend lines. Looking at the company and what they do, I just don't see it. We're in the crypto winter right now, the bear market bottom. We do have more to go, but that could be this right here, right? So I would not be betting on anything lower. Okay. So with that said, I think we talked about stocks enough. Our next video we'll get back into to talking about things like Doge, Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and we're going to have fun doing it too. This is exciting stuff, everybody. All right, well, that's it. Always remember to buy low, sell high, and never sell at a loss. Have a good one, everybody.